The scene tonight opens with Edwin sitting on the couch in the living space of Sen's apartment. He settles back on the couch, working on fine-tuning the incoming internet signal that he's able to get. Not too much improvement can be hoped for, but he makes do. He connects through a usual secure VPN, double checks various other security settings, and keeps an emergency shadow browser that he can retreat into should the need arise. Though for tonight, that should not be necessary. He continues the work on his service portal that he will connect into his 10-spot profile. The page which any prospective customers seeking remote access service needs will venture into. He double checks the coding for the portal rigorously. He combs through it with as fine a detail as he can, and sets to work to try to finish it, to get it ready, and then to test. As he begins working, a couple thoughts go through his mind. To the flash drive that Sly handed him, and its mysterious contents, as of yet. Well, and it's the mystery of its contents, I guess, would be more appropriate. He adjusts his seating a couple times on the couch, his laptop on his lap, familiar earbuds in his ears as he listens to some music, something to provide him with background noise to focus. And at this point, I will make a intelligence computer. I believe book learning will still apply for this if I hit any 10s. This will be roll number 3 on the extended roll. And I believe the difficulty was 7. He sits on the couch working diligently as an hour to 2.5 pass. He double checks a couple times as he adds a little bit more coding for better integration and better connectivity. Double checks the security protocols to make sure that they go through a slight shadow. Anything to live up to the claim, or to his claims and priorities listed on his profile. He sits back, stops typing. He scrolls through the contents that he's produced. Only a slight smile comes to his lips. He's proud of his accomplishment, but he feels he can do better. But for the time being, this will have to do. The pressing need for survival overtakes him. An itch he begins to feel in the back of his neck. His left hand goes to the back of his neck and he kind of scratches a little bit, only to find that it hurts a little bit more than being soothing. Feels a slight twitch in his foot. As his gaze goes down to his right leg, he notices his foot beginning to tap rhythmically. On the footstool before the couch that his legs have been propped up on. Through his adjustments, his feet are more planted. As a feeling of hunger begins to kind of well up a little bit. Not overwhelming, but there, present, pressing. That itch on the back of his neck that he swears he feels. The thoughts now going to his mind, through his mind. An urge to feed. An urge for blood. He tries to shake his head a little bit. His head cocks to the left as he looks back at the screen. Subconsciously, he's run the test. Second nature to someone of his skill, and he's not even perfected in that skill. The test seems to show a few vulnerabilities, but only minor ones. He starts running a trace on the vulnerabilities and cross-references them in browser windows. He starts jumping from window to window until he has 5, 6, 8 open, all with different searches within them. He tries to make the necessary adjustments. Still a slight vulnerability. Shouldn't be a problem, he thinks. Shouldn't be a problem. He starts closing windows, realizing that he opened way too many searches. Maybe a little overthought. Till he comes to one. Spectrum analysis of video. Background noise. He starts the YouTube video and begins watching as his hand goes into his laptop bag where the flash drive is securely nestled. He absorbs and takes in the information. It's basic, it's raw, it's as he feels words echo in his mind, the words of his sire. I need more data. A little bit greater smile purses his lips. He finishes the video, slightly satisfied. In another window sits a PDF document. He reads through it. It's decently well written. Obviously, academic work would require require enough time for a fully detailed read. He goes back to the browser window with his 10 spot, and he takes the singular link to the portal he's just created, having closed the work window, and places it in an appropriate spot on the front face of this listing. He double checks his payment options, sees that they're correct. He places his laptop down, puts it to sleep as he puts the flash drive into a USB port. He doesn't grab his bag tonight. He just leaves it. He grabs a key his sister had given him and moves to head out the door. Nestles his glasses on his face and after pulling his hooded sweatshirt over his head, he's been walking for about 30 minutes. Watching foot traffic, vehicle traffic, people come and go in the South Docks region of the Blade. Watching activity, his hood up over his head, glasses concealing his eyes and helping his vision. Going to make a perception alertness. Okay. Difficulty will be 6. Another 15 minutes and he spies, or he sees somebody walking down the street. He's walked a few blocks away from Sin's apartment. Just the thought of the nickname, the way it sounds, makes him chuckle inside. He keeps it to himself. His phone in one of his pants pockets. the key in the other, and his wallet nestled with the key. He begins to follow this man walking down the street. He appears to have gotten off work at some point this evening, possibly walking home, maybe walking to a small corner store to do shopping on his way, or maybe he's not heading home at all. He continues following him as as he begins to notice the man he's following trying to keep pace, trying to keep up without giving away his presence. As he notices him dodging certain areas, maybe cutting through an alley or two rather than walking down the street. To most, an odd practice, but sometimes a slightly darkened alleyway or barely lit alleyway can actually be a safer route than certain neighborhoods. Foolish, perhaps, but well, everybody has their own methods. Edwin will spying a couple, let's say, small pebbles, rocks maybe. He will, and I'm going to make a wits and stealth to attempt to, in an effort to cat and mouse this individual. He will toss a rock to get the man to look in one direction and walk in another, while he himself takes a different route to try to better catch up on him, stalking him like perhaps a lion or a cheetah would stalk a gazelle. No. A couple times the man looks back. Doesn't really think twice or pay too much mind to Edwin walking. His hands in the front pocket of the hoodie. His gait, a little casual, not suspicious. The man continues walking. Edwin takes notice. I'll make a wits and streetwise. It's actually fairly decent. He takes notice of him crossing the street. Edwin waits a few seconds and then crosses the street himself behind him. And knowing that this particular neighborhood, this particular series of streets, coming up tends to be a little hairy. He takes a detour to try to quickly make his way as he sees the man take a right. He heads through an alleyway that he has an inkling turns to the left in an effort to catch the man head on, face to face. Well, maybe not face to face, but at least sidelong. A quick grab and bite, and the prize is his. As he makes his way through the alleyway, he does manage to get in front of the man. He just sits at the mouth of the alleyway with his back against the wall. Technically, Edwin's back facing the man. He waits until he can go for a sidelong grab, and does. This will be a deck strength and brawl. This is gonna suck. And just make an average roll for the man. Okay then. As Edwin reaches out to grab the man sidelong and pull him in the alleyway, he does pull him into the alleyway, but doesn't manage to keep hold of him. The man looks at him and goes, and says, What the hell, man? What the fuck are you doing? It's a good way to get fucking hurt around here. And takes a little bit of a defensive stance. Edwin, keeping his eyes down a little bit, just, sorry, I thought you were someone else. I thought you had been following me. Been hearing a lot of weird noises. Yeah, well, better keep your fucking hands off people in the future. As Edwin says, sorry, I didn't mean to. He begins to make his way back down the alleyway the way he came. Passing the man, he gives just a brief glance out of his peripheral vision. And just before the man can turn and run, or turn and walk away, or jog out of the alleyway, Edwin attempts to grab him again. It's not too bad. Make an average roll for the feeding victim. 2 to 1. This time, Edwin, as he passes, he turns on his heel, grabbing the back of the man's neck, catching him unaware, fangs descending as he clamps onto the neck of his victim, and begins to drink. Let's see. Luckily for him, this man had nothing in his system. As the blood begins to flow down Edwin's throat, the energy, thrill of the hunt, the energy of the prey, the life, the vigor begin to fill him. A sense of satisfaction begins to overtake Edwin as the instinct, the beast that he was beginning to feel well up in his breast begins to slightly subside, or become at least content. Edwin tries to remember to keep his mouth cupped over the wound to try to keep from spilling a drop. No evidence, a clean hunt. No evidence, a clean hunt to go through his mind. The rush, the vigor, a slight couple drops fall to the ground as the man doesn't go limp, but begins to fall back relaxed a little bit. As the last few drops trickle down Edwin's throat, he pulls his head away, licking the wounds, just like he was taught. Leave no evidence, leave no trace, to preserve the masquerade. He pulls the man into the alleyway a little bit, behind a dumpster. Luckily, in this area, he manages to find a single cardboard box that he kind of maneuvers the man into. It takes him a little bit. Awkward-sized boxes versus an awkward-sized human body. The man is alive. As he places his ear to the man's chest, he can still hear a heartbeat. Checks the pockets and pulls wallet, keys, cell phone, anything that could be of value, and he places them comfortably, not over bulging, into the man's socks, and pulls the pant legs back over them. As he gets up from this position, satisfied the man is hidden, he won't be out for very long, but long enough to move away. He took 2 blood points in that feeding. He makes his way to the point of the alley that the man initially passed and walks back the way that his feeding victim had come. The thought of that word, victim, prey, comes to his mind. He begins to feel a slight well of guilt enter the back of his mind, creeping forward a little bit. He tries to shake it off, but it's difficult. Something about this, even after only 1 year, something he should be used to. It bothers him. He continues his walk, this time crossing the street. Eventually, in a roundabout way, he makes his way back to Jessica's apartment complex, our apartment block. Another hour passes. He gets back into the apartment. Doesn't take the hooded sweatshirt off. He walks over to the couch. Quickly peeling with the bottom of one foot against the heel of another, peels the shoes off his feet. Curls up on the couch. As a slight well of sadness comes over him. He lays there. And takes a bit of time to try to get his mind right. Not to validate or make an excuse for what he did, but he tries to calm himself with the thought that at least he did not kill. As Edwin lays there, eventually he pulls his laptop a little closer. He removes the earbud jack, or the earbuds from the jack, and puts on a little bit of music, lowering the volume. As he continues to lay nestled and curled up on the couch as the scene comes to a close.